Hello, so I am up in my little sewing nook. I am going to show you today how I tackle my steeks. So I'm having to use my sewing machine for this particular steek because the yarn that I've used is quite slippy. It's not like sticky 100% wool. We've got cashmere, we've got superwash. What else have we got in there? I can't remember, but it generally means that you're going to need to use a sewing machine for the steek reinforcement rather than backstitch or crocheting, so that it stays in place 100% and doesn't come undone. So I'm going to take you through how I do it. So we're going to just start with the centre front steek, as it's probably the easiest, and where you want to stitch reinforce is in between the first and the second stitch of your steek. So this is an 8-stitch steek, so you can see probably better here actually. So this is the first stitch and this is the second stitch. So if you just loosely sort of pull them apart, then stitch in between. I'm using a neutral coloured thread, so I'm using an Orifil thread in which is 100% cotton, and it is just in a grey colour. Find my pedal, here we go. So as you can see, I'm just sort of forcing the stitches apart and trying my best to stitch in between them. Just move that a bit. Oh, a bit more difficult on the moss stitch section, but I'll just do my best to try and stay straight. And then just as we get to the end, make sure, there we go. So there you have it, that is the first steek reinforced. So there you have it, the first steek has been reinforced, and so the next bit will be to cut it, and then I can pick up my button band and add that in. Hello everybody, so I am just going to quickly show you how I am going to sew up my sleeves now that I've finished them, and how I've reinforced the steek. So I did a little video showing you how I reinforced the steek. So if you look really closely, you can just about see the stitches in between the second and the first row of knitted stitches. So that was reinforcing the side seam steeks. I haven't done the arm head steeks yet because it's a little bit difficult to get to them. So I thought it'd be easier to cut this steek first before I then reinforce this steek and cut those ones. So here goes. And once I've done this, I will show you how I'm going to be sewing up the sleeves, side seams and across the sleeve head into the armhole. So it's simply just as easy as this, cutting up the steek. I know my steek is nicely reinforced, so I don't have to worry about cutting it open. And being careful not to cut the bottom layer as well. But if you are a bit worried about that, then pop a board or something between the layers so you know you're definitely not cutting in the wrong place. And done. So that is the first one. I have also reinforced this second side, so I will cut that one open as well. It's so satisfying. Get that out of the way so I don't cut it by accident. There we go. So now I've done that, I can go in and reinforce these with a sewing machine stitch, and it's a lot easier. And then I'll come back and show you how I'm going to mattress stitch my sleeves up, and what I plan to do to hide these tangly edges, or tatty edges rather. Now the underarm steeks are a little bit more difficult because they're quite difficult to get to, especially at the top here where the shoulder is. So just bearing that in mind, I will show you how I approach it. Get this out of the way actually. reinforced. So I realised when I cut that steek, this side I managed to keep my holding stitches on, but on the other side I accidentally cut the thread that they were being held on, so I'm going to pick up these stitches so that I can't lose them. So there were 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Looks like that one's dropped a stitch. Let's catch them before they go any further, and then I can sort that out later. Yeah, they're all in. There we go. So 2, 4, 6, 7. And excuse me, and I can pick up those stitches that I've dropped a little bit later on. So I have just reinforced these head of the sleeve steeks, so I can now cut these as well. So this one's the messy one, where all the yarns are joined in. That's that one. And now this is the neat one, where you just sew round and round and round. Lovely. And now I have 2 separate sleeves, and I can sew the sleeves like I would any other sleeve. If it was knitted flat, I will, wrong way around, sorry, let's just pop that over there. I will mattress stitch this side seam here as you would any other sleeve. Then for hiding these tatty edges on the inside, you can either use like a bias binding and bind the 2 together, so when they're on the inside it's nicely hidden, or you could do like a double crochet, or for the Americans out there, a single crochet around the edge, just to catch in those edges so they don't unravel anymore. Yeah, or you could do the normal technique that you do on the front steek, which is put some ribbon over and sew that on, but that's like double the work really, I reckon. So I'm probably going to do a crochet stitch because it's a lot quicker. But that is it. Now that I have cut open my steeks and I have sewn in my sleeves mattress stitch wise, I think it was grafted under the arms, it is time to cover up those steeks on the inside. So I've just got some ribbon, and I've chosen this nice jazzy contrasting colour, so it's a bit colourful on the inside, and then I've just pinned it all the way down to the bottom, and I've got plenty at the bottom just in case it sort of distorts as I'm sewing, so I have plenty, and I can just tuck that under when I get to that bit. But I'm going to do this first step on the sewing machine just because I'm lazy and it's a lot quicker. So I will take you over to the sewing machine. So I thought I would share with you how I sew without pinning. I find this a lot easier. I find pinning restricts the fabric a bit, especially when you're working with stretchy fabrics. It can hold it in the wrong place, and so I find it a lot easier to be able to manipulate the knitted fabric and the woven or stiff fabric when it's not pinned, basically. And this is how I learned to sew at uni, because of course in factories they don't pin anything because that's a waste of time. So in production everything's always done without pins and without tacking, so I find it a lot easier to do it this way. So show you how I do it. Okay. So I'm lining it up with this second line of stitches from the seam. So one thing that you can try if you're having problems getting the fabric through the machine, using a walking foot, which is used for quilting, could be quite useful to move the fabric along. I don't have a line to follow on the moss stitch, so we'll just have to, sorry, stocking, not sticking, stockings, it's garter stitch. So just have to wing it. Last bit, and there we have it. So I'll probably go over that bit just to, so it's caught on. Sewed a little bit too close to the line there. So there we have it. Now it looks a bit puckered because of the knit fabric, but that can be smoothed out against the body when I sew the ribbon to the body, which I will do by hand, not by machine, because you don't want to see these stitches on the outside. You don't want them to be seen on the good side of the fabric, so you just literally catch on the inside very carefully with a hand sewing needle. So that is that.